The first line is ugh.
Ugh!
Nailed it. I think we got it.
Alright, we're done. Moving on. In the back. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm spilling the guts on the internet once again. I've kind of made peace with the fact that I'll never be considered like a serious adult. You know, like a serious internet journalist or like a documentary director, because there's just so many examples on the World Wide Web of me being absolutely ridiculous. Like I played a big southern vagina in a musical on YouTube. I painted with my period blood. And here I am spilling my guts about the fact that I was in a pole dancing cult. So where do I get started? In 2020, I decided to leave my pole dancing studio that I had belonged to for 8 years. And now this pole dancing studio was called S Factor, and there is many locations of S Factor. This was a popular franchise in the pole dancing community. I left in 2020 because the CEO and founder of S Factor, Sheila Kelly, decided to just do some reckless bullshit. Sheila had been problematic for a while. I made it my mission to never really interface that much with her anymore. But in 2020, in the height of the George Floyd protests and the crisis against Black lives, Sheila decided it was an excellent timing to delete and effectively silence a comment left by a fellow teacher. She happens to be a Black woman. Sheila was like, I can't handle the criticism. I'm deleting this comment. And just in the temperature of everything and plus everything that she had done, I left. I just couldn't be associated with anybody who couldn't take time to look at her own reflection in the mirror. I've been very open about the fact that I belonged to this pole dancing studio, the fact that I taught at this pole dancing studio. And whenever I would teach pole dancing on camera, I made sure to always call it S Factor and made sure to shoot there. I loved pole dancing. I loved S Factor for many reasons. It was my community, it was my sport. All my friends were there. I could cry there. Very important. If I can cry there,
So that's a place you gotta be.
I gotta be there. Let me in! And I really thought by teaching what we taught, freewheeling sexuality and how to dance, teaching folks to accept and love their bodies, I really thought I was helping people. Let's just take a pause. Who do I sound like? I sound like people in cult documentaries describing their initial love for the cult that they were a part of. So that's what we're gonna be talking about today. I was in a fitness cult, specifically a pole dancing cult. And I say this because I think fitness cults are probably one of the most insidious kinds of cults that are in the zeitgeist right now, and no one is talking about it. But first, I am an unofficial aficionado of cult media. I have listened to pretty much, probably, I'm not gonna say all of the cult podcasts on Spotify, but I would say a great deal of them. And likewise, I've seen a lot of the cult documentaries on the streaming platforms. But whether or not you call yourself an unofficial expert, I think we can all agree cults and the idea of being in a cult or exposing cults have risen in popularity in the cultural zeitgeist. I'd say within the past 5 years. Millennials and Gen Z are one of the most secular generations that we've had in a long time. Even though we're so secular and we don't necessarily belong to go to church anymore or do spiritual activities. I'm just saying this is a blanket statement, don't come for me, I'm just saying at large. Even though we are like this, human beings are hardwired for connection. And so while, you know, you might feel some kind of way about religion or like community events or whatever, we look as human beings, we look to connect with others. It's just how we operate and live as a species. So if you just take for a second, the past 7 years of cult documentaries on streaming services. We've been introduced to the business cult, thank you WeWork and LuLaRoe, that documentary, LuLaRich. We have learned about sex cults, like The Vow on HBO, which is an awful documentary. Don't watch it. It took away years of my life, and I'm mad at the documentary filmmakers for that. This is going in the video, Derek. You put this in the video.
Oh, I will.
We've learned about lifestyle cults like Wild Wild Country. We've learned about religious cults, The Way Down and Be Sweet, Eat, Pray, and Obey. Not Eat, Pray. I always want to say Eat, Pray, Love, but it's Pray, Obey. Have you watched that yet?
No, you told me about it like 2 days ago.
No, I didn't. I told you about it last week.
You literally told me about it on Tuesday.
But today I want to introduce you to a new type of cult called the fitness cult. In the realm of psychology, these environments are called highly controlled environments. And usually there is a group of people or a person at the top who's dictating how people should behave, how people should act, and it trickles down. This person at the top is usually protected by an inner sanctum of people who help carry out their rules, for lack of a better word. And then there's all these other classifications of what makes a cult. So what makes a fitness cult is it checks all those boxes, but it has something, another piece that makes it even more scary. People come to cults because they want something. And a fitness cult is just positioned to have that prime real estate to get right in front of you, because our society advertises fitness programs and gyms, etc., as a way to change your life. That is a very easy marketing tool. It can be both, because I would argue that fitness routines can change your life. You can become a different person by finding a new hobby. However, with fitness cults, something that makes it so scary to me is when you work out your body, you are changing your brain chemistry. If you work your body out to a point of exhaustion, you become more open, you become more susceptible for being manipulated. And that's the entry point in which it becomes dangerous. That's the entry point for a lot of these bad actors to come into your brain space and change the way you think about yourself, change the way you think about your community and in your environment. And that's the dangerous part.
S Factor is a pole studio that focuses more on female empowerment and feeling sexy for yourself rather than feeling sexy for someone else. It gave me the confidence in myself and in my body to really go after my dreams, believe it or not. That's why I want to share it with like literally everyone in my life.
So everything I said in that clip about how I came to S Factor is true. I came to S Factor when I was going through a very vulnerable time in my life. But unlike everyone else in my intro class, I had experienced pole dancing before. I think for me that further intensified this feeling that I was meant to do this because I was better than everyone in my class, and also like I just gravitated to it quickly, you know? Here's where the cult story, my story, and then cult stories in general become confusing. The intentions. The road to hell is always paved with good intentions. And for the first couple years of me and my journey at S Factor, it was really beneficial. S Factor changed my life. The classes were 2 hours long, and the first hour we turned off pretty much all the lights except some like red glowy lights and candlelight. There were no mirrors, and the exercise warm-up itself to get your body like strengthened and ready to hit the pole was very meditative. You see other fitness places doing this too. I think Peloton and those like Peloton classes, it feels like a club with like the lights around you. And I think that just fosters this sense of not being watched, which is important. And I think that works. I don't think that's a bad thing. When you're in a space like that, in a dark room with loud music, it gives you the space to like cry, to laugh, to have a release, and no one's there to judge you. Also, I think S Factor established a really strong mind-body connection for me. After my assault, I pretty much lived head up, neck up. I tried not to like feel much in my body. And S Factor was a place where I was encouraged to, you know, touch my own body, feel the pressure and the weight of my own touch, feel how nourishing that could be. And that was a very healthy, good thing. And I still think that's a very healthy, good thing. Pole dancing as a sport reinforces hand-eye coordination, which is really important. And as an adult, if you're learning to be more coordinated, that can really boost your confidence. Just like in every good cult story, we're hitting all the beats. After they talk about the good parts of the cult, then they start revealing the cracks. In my case, the cracks started when I started getting closer to the founder and the CEO of S Factor, Sheila Kelly. I do not want to get into the tea, the juice, the hot goss of everything that S Factor did wrong in this video, because I want to make that its own video series, and it's going to be coming out very soon. And I want it to be less of an expose and more of a conversation. But first, I would like to extrapolate even more, zoom out even more on a weird trend that I'm witnessing now online. As the world starts to peek its little head out after this pandemic's still going on. I have seen the rise of all these like spirituality programs that are coming out and are trending online that have to do with connecting women with their feminine sexuality. And I know what you're thinking. Well, Devin, aren't you doing a Year of the Goddess thing? I am. But I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm really just trying to unpack this for myself. I'm seeing a lot of courses that advertise get to know your feminine sexuality, unleashing your inner goddess, know your feminine sexual archetype. This feels very familiar to me. Not only because it feels like adjacent to the S Factor fitness cult experience, but the teachings of these like feminine sexuality, spiritual new age groups really intersects with what they were trying to teach us at S Factor. And most of the time, I see at the tip of these little groups or communities a white woman with an ego problem. I am not the first one on the internet to point out that wellness culture has a white woman problem. I'm laughing as I say that because I get it. I'm a white woman. I make a lot of videos on wellness culture things, but I'm also not Gwyneth Paltrow trying to sell you an $85 jade egg to stick up your puss. If I were gonna do that, I would give it to you for $5. Y'all know me. And if it's going up your puss, like why charge that much, you know? But here's the thing. Y'all, I'm not about to tell you what to do with your lives or what to do with your money, but I will just point out that we know so little about the feminine sexual experience. There has been so little research done. Most of medicine, the vaccine for an example, was mostly tested and dosage was mostly developed for male bodies. Heart attacks for the first 50 years was studied on a male body, not a female body. History is told from the masculine perspective. Science is a field dominated by men. Not so much anymore. We're getting better, but traditionally it was a dick fest. And then art and culture for the longest time was dominated by men. Again, all of these things are getting better. We're trending in the right direction, except the Supreme Court. When it comes to sexuality, it's no secret that the female experience has been oppressed for centuries. Okay, I am no expert, but I don't need to be to tell you that truth. So, what do we have? When we have something that's been oppressed for so long and we have so little research about it, it becomes a void. What thrives in a void? Cults. Bad actors. I looked at a lot of these feminine sexuality courses online, and most of them promise two things. Number one, they immediately try to categorize you. They immediately try to scan your shit and tell you that they know you better than you know yourself. And in fact, you fit into this just mold, one of these molds. In fact, a lot of these feminine sexuality cults, S Factor included, would invent these archetypes that your sexual physical experience was supposed to represent. So for an example, you heard like you're either a goddess or a seductress or a siren or a boss. They really love to give you a label. The second thing that these feminine sexuality cults do is they try to use your personal physical experience as evidence to support their claims. So I was on Instagram the other day, and this woman who I follow for research, she posted like one of those graphics, like one of those like text graphics that said, if your sex life is boring and dull, that means you are boring and dull. First of all, that is a horrible marketing message because that immediately turns off your audience. It turns your physical experience into something that you have ultimate control over, which we all know. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes people have chronic pain and they don't have control over it. The wind will blow a different way and it'll make you chilly, and then you don't need to connect that back to childhood trauma all the time. The thing about like physical experiences is it's a dialectic, meaning both things can be true at once. Yes, you could have family trauma in your life and in your background, and you can also have pain in your body. Correlation does not equal causation, but a lot of these feminine sexuality cults will try to connect that and make meaning out of everything. And that's a dangerous place to go, because once you start making meaning out of everything, then you start pigeonholing yourself into this experience where you are in control of everything in your life. Listen, I love to feel like I'm in control. Don't get me wrong, I love to be a boss bitch. However, there are just some things that happen to people that are chaotic or make no sense. And trying to connect it back to meaning all the time can make you crazy. Beware of unlicensed professionals who try to make meaning of every sensation you have in your body. Attaching heavy meaning towards a pain in your chest or a flutter in your belly is a form of manipulation. Full stop. So where are we now with this whole experience? It's been 2 years since I left S Factor, and within these past 2 years, it's been painful. It's been weird. I haven't been teaching many classes. I haven't been inviting other people to practice with me because I really just wanted to kind of shed the S factor of it all off my body, because that's another thing about fitness cults that I think can be really damaging. You can leave a cult, like the WeWork cult, you can leave it. You might be out thousands of dollars, which sucks. You might have to seek medical attention or therapeutic attention, which also sucks. With a fitness cult, you can't leave your body. As much as we all try, I mean, I'll take that back. Sometimes I do leave my body. My soul leaves my body. But you can't necessarily like get a new body. You know what I mean? In the past year alone, I've tried to open up my experience because it makes it all less scary. So I appreciate all of you who have practiced with me online. I'm also trying to really parse out what parts were good and what parts were bad. And what this process has revealed to me is that we know so little about the female sexual experience, period. We know so little about the femme experience. I am hesitant and also very suspicious of folks who try to charge money to teach you how to be more feminine, how to be more sexual, because what the fuck do they know that you don't know? It's all fake. I love practicing still. I love going to the studio. I love dancing. I love all of the skills that I learned from S Factor. So the only thing that I have to do now is figure out how to unpack all of this weird experience and recycle it into something formative and informational and helpful. So that's what I'm doing now. We're on this ride together. Derek's on this ride too. God bless.
Yeehaw!
In the next couple months and weeks, we will be bringing you an interview series where we kind of unpack my pole dancing cult experience, learn from my mistakes. This is Devin But Better after all, and I've lived many lives. Stay tuned. I love you very much, my beautiful nerds, and I'll see you next week. Ooh, Sydney Sweeney just tweeted. Hold on.
But first.